Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome to trigonometry class. Today we will discuss about different quadrant and its positions of different points at different quadrant. Let's see. So we'll have consider one circle, okay, with the center O. Okay. Now consider there are four quadrants. I divided with two lines. This is first quadrant, this is second quadrant, this is third quadrant, this is fourth quadrant. Am I right? So this is 0, this is pi by 2, this is pi, this is 3 pi by 2. Again I'll tell you, this is 0, this is 90, this is 180, this is 270. Again it will go for 360. So one complete rotation of angle. Am I right? Now we consider any single point on the first quadrant on the circle. For example, I denote this is as P. Okay, so I'll consider this is P of x comma y and I'll connect 0 to P. This is 0. I'll consider this is A, this point 90 point B, this is C, and this is D. Am I right? Now what I do is I'll drop a perpendicular at P, okay, such that it will touch x-axis. I'll drop a perpendicular. This is my perpendicular. This point I'll consider M. And we know this side is positive x-axis. Okay, this is positive y. Am I right? So this distance is known as positive x. And this height is positive y. So this coordinate we know as P of x comma y. That means that point from center, x distance in x direction and y distance in y direction. So it will be distance at a point, because we know plane always represented with 2 points, x as well as y direction. Am I right? So this is x distance in x direction and y distance in the y direction. Both are positive. That is most important thing you should remember. Okay, so this point I'll consider as P of x comma y. So if both x and y is positive, then we could directly say your point is lying in the first quadrant. That is most important basic understanding in trigonometry. Okay, again I'll repeat, if both coordinate x also positive, y also positive, then point will be stand at first quadrant. It might be first quadrant always between 0 to 90. So first quadrant always 0 to pi by 2 in radian, or this is similarly 0 to 90 degree in degree. So both notation you supposed to remember. Okay, so it might be acute angle, it should be acute angle, and it will varies from 0 to 90. It might be 20 degree, it might be 30, it might be 40, it might be 45, it might be 60, it might be 90, or it might be 85, anything. So but it should be 0 to 90. So similarly we'll discuss about all angles in the next class. Okay, timing will locate the point at each quadrant. So this is the case of first quadrant. Second quadrant so it will lie between pi by 2 to pi, similarly 90 to 180 degree. Okay, so any point you consider, that is P dash, this is P dash. So again if I consider this, so this will be theta. Okay, so this point you see, if the point should lie in the second quadrant, then how do you recognize? Your x-axis will be negative. This is negative x. Okay, this is positive y. Y is positive, but x is negative. When y coordinate is negative and x coordinate is negative and y coordinate is positive, then you could definitely say your point lie in the second quadrant. Okay, so that's what we written here. So here x also positive, y also positive. In second quadrant, x is negative, y is positive. Am I right? Now looking for third quadrant. It is between pi to 3 pi by 2 or 180 degree to 270. Okay. Now you see same theta. Okay. P double dash. How you could say, or this is theta I should consider. How do you say this will be negative x as well as negative y? Y coordinate also negative, x coordinate also negative. That means if you have a both negative coordinate, x coordinate as well as y coordinate is negative, then you could directly say your point lying in the third quadrant. Am I right? So remember this. This is the most important thing in trigonometry. You should know where exactly lying your point, either first quadrant, second, third and fourth. So last one is, it is a negative theta. Okay, this is a positive theta, negative theta. This P triple dash always lying x positive and y negative. So here in third quadrant, x also negative, y also negative. So in fourth quadrant, it will be between 3 pi by 2 to 2 pi or 270 degree to 360 degree. Okay, remember x is positive this side, okay, and y will be negative. So most important things, again I'll tell you, in first quadrant x also positive, y also positive. In second quadrant x is negative, y is positive. Am I right? Third quadrant x also negative, y also negative. Fourth quadrant x is positive this side, y is negative. So your job is, you supposed to remember this quadrant sign. I mean to say whether x is positive or x is negative, y is positive or y is negative. How it will help, I will tell you. For example, if someone say, okay, so P coordinate, okay, minus 2, 3, which quadrant? So y, x is negative, y is positive, it will be in the second quadrant, directly you could say, okay. Or they can mention like second quadrant angles. I mean to say, how do you represent angles in theta? It will be positive and acute. I mean to say 30, 45, 60 or 15, 10, 85, anything between 0 and 90. If you want to represent in second quadrant angles, then two way, you can directly say 120 degree, above 90 and below 180. This also you can say like pi by 2 plus theta. This is one. Here you can directly say theta. Okay. Or you could say one more method in first quadrant. How do you say? Either you can say 60 degree or you can say 90 minus 30, 60. Similarly, you can say 30 degree, that is means theta 30 degree, or you could say 90 minus 60, that also 30. Am I right? That means you could say pi by 2 minus theta. This is also one way of representation. Okay. So both you should remember. In first quadrant, you can either you can tell x positive, y positive, or you could say directly theta, some angle theta, and it should be acute. Theta should be less than pi by 2. Okay, less than or equal to pi by 2. So then your angles in first quadrant. Okay, or you could say theta will be pi by 2 minus theta. So then you could say directly the angles in first quadrant. So this is about first quadrant angles. Second quadrant angles always lies between, you should remember, pi by 2 to pi, okay, or 90 to 180 degree. How you can represent? Both way, two ways. One is coordinate, your x coordinate is negative, y coordinate is positive. Or how you can say 90 plus theta. Am I right? 90 plus theta. One way. Second way, you could say 90, see, I mean to say 120 you want to represent. How do you say 90 plus 30, 120, or 180 minus 60, 120, both are same. So similarly, that means pi minus theta, you can say 90 plus theta you could say, or 180 minus theta you could say. So both way you can represent 120, or if you want to represent 160, so same way you could do. So this is how two methods you should remember. One coordinate system you could say, or two way of representing angles. One pi by 2 plus theta, or pi minus theta. So remember, pi by 2 plus theta, pi 180 minus theta. Both, I mean to say, for example, if you want to represent 120 degree, how 90 plus 30 you can say, or 180 minus 60 you can say, both are 120 degree. Am I right? So third quadrant, how do you represent in terms of coordinate? Minus x minus y, both coordinate will be negative. Plus one more way, what you can say, pi plus theta, pi plus theta as well, 270 minus theta, or that means 3 pi by 2 minus theta. Both way you can say. Example, 180 plus 30, how much? 210. 210 you can tell in a two ways. That means 180 plus 30 is 210 degree. Similarly, 270 minus 60, that also 210 degree. 270 minus 60, 210 degree. So that means 3 pi by 2 minus theta, that will be in the second quadrant. So third quadrant done. Now go for look at the fourth quadrant. Now you yourself tell. One way you can directly say minus theta. First quadrant, in terms of quadrant, in terms of coordinate, plus x minus y. Am I right? Now in terms of theta, if this is theta, same theta if you consider in a clockwise direction, this is a anti-clockwise direction, this is a clockwise direction, this will be minus theta, theta will be minus theta, or how you can say 270 plus theta, that means 3 pi by 2 plus theta. Okay, so two ways. Fourth quadrant represented by minus theta, then one more method 270 plus theta, or 360 minus theta also you can say, or minus theta. Now we'll see about how this coordinate signs will affect the trigonometry angles. That means how your sine of that theta, cos of that theta, tan of that theta, cot of that theta will get a sign for that quadrant. So because this knowledge of this quadrant as well as its sign, okay, how it varies is most important and most fundamental. Once you understood this concept, okay, then rest of the trigonometry really very easy. You feel very comfortable. Most of the time you will confuse, most of the student will confuse in this place. So they'll miss plus theta, minus theta, somebody says 90 plus theta, where we should tell 90 plus theta, where we should tell 90 minus theta. Totally confused. Now it is very clear. If 90 minus theta, it is in first quadrant. So first, second, third, fourth. 90 minus theta, first quadrant. 90 plus theta, second quadrant. 180, this is 180 pi. Pi minus theta, first quadrant, second quadrant. Pi plus theta, third quadrant. Am I right? Now this is 270. 270 minus theta, third quadrant. 270 plus theta, fourth quadrant. Okay. Similarly, theta is first quadrant, minus theta is fourth quadrant. Am I right? So minus theta you could say, or 270 minus theta you can say. Both way it is fourth quadrant. Theta you could say, or 90 minus theta, that is in a second quadrant. Theta plus theta, sorry, 90 plus theta you could say second quadrant. Similarly, 180 minus theta, you can say it is in second quadrant. So these things you can tell again and again in your mind, imagine the quadrant, tell random degrees. Okay, for example, 120 plus 30, how much? It will be 150. Am I right? That means 90 plus 60. 90 plus 60 is 150. Like that you tell. So if you want to define 150, how do you can define? Either you could say 90 plus 60, it is 150, or 180 minus 30, it is 150. Do you getting? 90 plus 60, okay, that is 150, or 180 minus 30 you do, you will get 150. So both way you could define. So take random angles. Think there are two ways of definition. Either you can tell 90 plus theta, 90 minus theta, or 180 plus theta, 180 minus theta, 270 plus theta, 270 minus theta, or negative theta. So between 0 to 360 degree you think different angles, different quadrants. Then 360 to 720 you think again different angles, different quadrants. Your job is you supposed to locate which quadrant that angle. For example, simply you can tell like something like 400 degree. You are supposed to tell suddenly which quadrant. This is the exercise for this class. Okay, you should be good, and this location of point or location of quadrant, it will, if you are good in that, then speed of calculation will reduce. You no need to calculate. So suddenly it will come to your mind, okay, this is this quadrant. From that, how to proceed we will discuss in the future classes, or when we discuss numericals we will see how to simplify such complicated problem very easily. So because we don't have a time in CET, JEE Mains and JEE Advanced, we have a very less time. You should be good at fundamentals. This is the important things what I expect in the class. Apart from the standard calculations, you should learn both things, analytical method, standard calculation, as well as speeding up of your calculations. So you should concentrate parallelly, and you should work on these things at this class, in the beginning class, foundation class, how to speed up, what is the requirement, what you are supposed to remember, and that will lead you to speed up your calculation very systematically. Suddenly going for complicated problem and solving problem and expecting your speed, it is very difficult. Instead of that, small thing you practice first. Your job is just imagine the location of point in the quadrant where it was lying. Then some other concept will connect to that in the next classes or future classes, or when you solve the numericals. That time I will connect one-to-one concept, and I will tell you without a pen and pencil paper you can solve all problems by just thinking or imagination your quadrant point. Okay, you can find the answers, because answers are they given in the answer sheet, question bank. So you are just locating the right answers, and it will be very easy if you remember these things. So hope you enjoyed, and expectation from the class, this class. So you practice yourself and get ready for the next class. Hope you enjoyed the class. Thank you very much. All the best.